This video will demonstrate the variety of ways you can tag and retrieve your notes in NoteScribe. Once you compile a large quantity of notes in NoteScribe, you want to have a variety of ways of finding your notes. Being able to retrieve your notes by either category, keywords, sources, or the global search function will save you large amounts of time. So let's go ahead and get started by creating a note with a category, keyword, and source. So let's go ahead and go to the edit note window, and first we're going to put some notes in here. I've already created some notes, so we're going to paste those in there. And as you can see, my notes are about the Cuban Missile Crisis, so I want my categories, keywords, and source to focus around that topic. So let's go ahead and create categories first. The Cuban Missile Crisis was a part of the Cold War, which is a part of the United States history. So let's go ahead and create a level 1 called United States History. And then we're going to get more specific with our subcategories. As I said, the Cuban Missile Crisis was a part of the Cold War, so let's use the Cold War as a subcategory. And this would be just in case we are doing multiple topics of things that happened in the Cold War. For example, we had the space race and quite a few other things and interactions going on with the Soviet Union. So let's create an additional subcategory called the Cuban Missile Crisis in case we have other events we want to write about later. So there we have a main category and two subcategories. Next, we want to create a couple of keywords. During this time, Kennedy was the president, so let's go ahead and use Kennedy as a keyword. And for this particular incident, we are dealing with the Soviet Union. So we'll use that for an additional keyword. And next we need to set a source. And if we scroll down through my available sources, you'll find that I've already created a source called the Cuban Missile Crisis, which is a book by Watson. So let's double click that to add it to this particular note. And now, as you can see, we have a source, a category tree for this note, and two keywords. So let's go ahead and save it. And I'm going to show you how to retrieve this note using these three different methods. If we look at our note, you can see that we have all of our notes as well as our sources and our categories. But let's go ahead and clear that so we can start retrieving it using the category, sources, and keywords. If you come over to the search control bar, you notice that we have three different tabs. We have our categories, we have our sources, and we have our keywords. So if we're looking at our categories, you can see that everything is alphabetized, so we've made it as easy as possible, and it's condensed because I have a lot of different subcategories within the main categories to prevent an overload of categories. So if we scroll down to United States History, we'll see that I have a subcategory for Cold War, and if you click on Cold War, you'll see that I have a subcategory called Cuban Missile Crisis. So to retrieve this note, all we have to do is select the L3 next to the category name. And this will pull up all of my notes about the Cuban Missile Crisis that I have so far, which is only one. And from this point, now that I've retrieved it, if I want to work on it again, all I have to do is double click it and I can edit the notes or add more to it, change the source, the categories, the keywords, so I can pretty much do anything I want to it again. Next, let's go ahead and clear this, and I'm going to show you how to retrieve your notes using sources. As you can see, inside of sources, you can retrieve your notes by three different methods. We have the authors, the publications, and we also have titles. So if I want to retrieve my note using the author's name, which was Watson, all I have to do is scroll down and find Watson, and if I click on his name, it'll show me all the notes that he has been tagged to. Right now he's only tagged on one, so I'm going to select the particular note that he was tagged to, which is the one that we just created. And once again, if you double click, you can edit this note or add to it or do anything you please with it. Next, let's move on to keywords. If we click on the keywords tab, you can see a list of all the different keywords that I have for all my notes. And if you remember right, we created two different keywords. We used Kennedy and we used Soviet Union. So let's go ahead and click on Kennedy, and that'll pull up our note, and you'll also notice that it'll also check the Soviet Union keyword. This will work if you flip it around too. For example, if we uncheck that and click Soviet Union, it'll also check Kennedy. This will work if you have multiple keywords for a particular note. So as long as you click on one of them, all the other ones will show up as checked as well. So it doesn't matter which one you click on, they'll all retrieve the same note. Next, I want to show you how to use the global search function. The global search function can be used if you're in a hurry or if you want to find a note with a couple of particular words in it. Basically, it's just a very quick function to get to your note as fast as possible, and this will bypass using the category sources and keywords if you choose to. So let's go up to the global search function, and we can search here for either a word, a phrase, or for multiple words even. So if I want to search for the Cuban Missile Crisis, all I have to do is I can type in Cuban Missile Crisis if I would like, and this would be considered a phrase, and as you can see, it retrieves one note. The notes that contain the phrase will always have the phrase highlighted in orange. So once I pull up the note, if I had multiple notes that said Cuban Missile Crisis, every time Cuban Missile Crisis showed up, it would be highlighted in orange. So now that we've done a phrase, we can go ahead and we can search for a couple different things. You can search for individual words. For example, we know that Kennedy was the president during the Cuban Missile Crisis, so if we search for Kennedy, you can see that we find just the individual word Kennedy within the same note. And there's a couple other things we can do. We can also search for multiple words. So go ahead and clear this. So if I wanted to find Kennedy and Russia, let's say I had Kennedy in lots of notes and I needed to find particular interactions with him in Russia, what I could do is have Kennedy and then type in all capitals, and then Russia. This will find all the notes that have Kennedy and Russia in them, and if we select search, you'll see that it'll once again find the note that we just created, and it'll highlight Kennedy and Russia. If there are any other notes that had Kennedy and Russia, they would also be displayed on the currently displayed notes list. So it's a very convenient feature for finding words that were tied in together in a note, and it'll save you a lot of time searching through category sources and keywords if you're not sure where you might have saved something. So that pretty much wraps up how you do the retrieval with NoteScribe. We've created videos that show you individual searches for category sources and keywords and for the global search function, so you can watch those if you want to get an even further in-depth look at how to use the retrieval methods in NoteScribe.